So now we move into phase 2 of the swap, which is the reassembly phase. So as you can tell, we got a little change of scenery. We've moved it to the reassembly location, and now I can start getting ready to put all my parts and things like that on it. And not gonna lie, it's pretty daunting. Not exactly sure where to start. Well, one thing's for certain, any productive garage needs a fridge. So I went out and got a fridge. Of course, you gotta have drinks for the fridge. I mean, come on, you can't have an empty fridge. All right, so the trouble that I've been having the last couple days is figuring out what the plan of attack is gonna be. Because to me, putting the motor in, the physical work, you know, stuff like that, I think that's easy and enjoyable. And also, it was very clear that the goal was to get to this point. As far as what to do from here, that's where it becomes kind of daunting. This is the starting list right now, which there's going to be plenty more added to that, I'm sure. But I think the first kind of big hurdle is we're going to need to get the engine as fully dressed as possible to figure out what kind of room there's going to be for the brakes, for the inner fenders, for the cooling stack, because obviously the engine is really going to dictate the truck more so than vice versa. So I don't really feel like tackling the wiring just yet. So I think what I'm going to start with is removing the Hydro Boost, pulling out that old steering shaft in preparation for making a new one, and just kind of getting ready to work on this side. So the plan over here is going to be a GMT 800, so 99 to 07 Hydro Boost, master cylinder, straight hydraulic brakes, no ABS module. So first thing I got to do is pop that sucker out and get ready to order the new one. Brought down a bunch more parts. Got a lot of like front cover accessory stuff, alternator, yep. So a couple things. One, I gotta get a video set up over here because I don't just have a window where I can put the suction cup like at Devon's. So the other thing is apparently the wiring, despite what I said, is exactly what it's time to work on. So I cut out all of that, which was the beginning of the unnecessary wiring delete kit from the cab. And then Zach and I just finished up, which is to say that Zach just finished up starting the install on the standalone harness. So got a whole shopping list of stuff to get. And I guess we'll check back in at the next juncture because there's really not a whole lot to show right now because it's kind of messy and we still got a lot of work to do. Should really work on this thing. Not today. It's a mess. So we got today the Y-bridge and the turbo mouthpiece installed, and we started working on routing the harness and clipping it and tying it and stuff like that. It's got the new thermostats in, power steering pump back on, all kinds of stuff. So currently what I'm trying to figure out is this is a thermostat housing, and the pipe coming out of here kind of does one of these. HSP does make a forward-facing housing, but I don't think I need to run that, and admittedly I'd rather not at this point. And basically I'm just trying to figure out what of the harness is going to go below, what's going to go above. And let me just grab the light here. The other issue I'm working with right now, you can see that kink in the hose. See if I can get the focus here. Yeah, so that hose right there, that's the supply to the high pressure CP3 pump. And as you can see, there's a kink in it, but there's really nowhere else to put it because of the amount of crap in the valley right there. So I think tomorrow I'm going to try and go out and get an M12 to -8 JIC fitting with a 45 and try and get it kind of like up and out of the valley. So we're doing that. Like I said, just kind of working on routing that harness. I'm going to have to figure out what to do with this turbo mouthpiece because, as you can see, it is very close to being in line with the cowl. And if we look on the hood over here, you can see this whole structure that exists under the hood means that, you know, just to be in line with the cowl is not really good enough because the hood sits about 2 inches lower than the on the underside. So one option would be to cut it and take, 2 inches out of it and essentially drop the whole thing down. But obviously it's powder coated, and that would require either looking at an ugly burn mark in the middle of the coating or having the whole thing blasted and recoated, and hoping that the coating matches the other parts. The other thing would be to clock it down, which doesn't really gain me a whole heck of a lot. So I think what's likely going to happen is I'll just cut a chunk of the hood subframe out just in this area so that when the hood closes it clears. But that's the least of my worries at this point. So that's where we're at. I went and saw Tyler at North Coast Diesel today, and he was able to hook up my ECM to his bench scan tool and pull the VIN out of it because, like an idiot, I didn't save the VIN from the truck that motor came out of. So with that, I should be able to order tunes, and just one big step closer to being able to have this thing run. Planning on using Danville Performance for the tuning. It's their turbo. They seem to be knowledgeable about ZF6s as well as standalone, so hopefully that'll wind up being a good result. I mean, in all reality, we're going from 240 horse to 360 stock, and no matter who tunes this thing, it's going to be a rocket ship compared to what it used to be. So I'm not super worried about that, but that's the update, and that's going to cap it for this video because I've gotten a couple comments looking for the next installment, and well, you got to give the people what they want.